And it's live, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. This is the pre-match discussion for the West Ham United Leeds game at London Stadium tomorrow in the Premier League. Thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like, comment on and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support. And if you could also, don't forget the campaign for young Isla, the description, in the description section below YouTube and Facebook, you'll find the information that's on this banner looking at you. You can copy and paste it, put it on all your socials and get the message out there that there's a young lady out there that's in dire straits and needs our help ASAP, a family that really could do with a helping hand. So get the message out there. There is a Just Giving link there. So if you're in a position to put a few bob into the pot to help this family out in their time of need, please feel free. As always, no donation is too small, but please give as generously as you can. And as always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support. As you can see, Duke hasn't made it. He's been snowed under at his new gaff, the Lewisham Tavern down there in SE13. So coming off of the substitutes bench, it's my younger brother Ben. How are you, sir?
All good, mate. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to having a chat. It's been a little while, so yeah, I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow and giving a bit of insight into how I think it'll pan out.
Good. Right, just gonna have a quick look in the chat. See who we got in. Rob Singleton, how you doing, mate? Hope you are well. Larry from Auburn, Alabama, USA. Ben, have you ever seen Larry's on Twitter? His barbecue.
I don't think I have, mate. For my
Ava Butchers. I've retweeted it a few times in the past.
I'll give him a follow and have a look at the barbecue.
Legendary barbecue.
Good to see you, Larry. Nice to meet you.
Reese, hope you're well, mate. Hope you are well. So let's get down to it, Ben. So this game tomorrow obviously follows on a week after the FA Cup match that was against the same opposition. What are your thoughts?
Initial thoughts are, do you know what? I hate it when this happens. Like not just to West Ham, but when you get you'll get a league game, whoever it is, you get a league game, and then you've got them in the cup again. It just seems it's a bit boring. Do you know what I mean? Because it feels like you've just played them. But I think it's going to be a tougher game than the cup game. Not that it wasn't a tough game in the cup game, but I think they had quite a lot of injuries. I still think they have. But for example, I think they had Rafinha on the bench. Do you know what I mean? Did, So he's probably their number one player who he'll be playing. You know what I mean? So I think it would be a tougher game. But looking at how we're playing and that we had a bit of a sticky patch in December, and we've slowly got ourselves out of that, and I feel like we're improving a little bit every week. So I'm going into the game confident. We've got Cresswell coming back midweek. I thought was huge, for us, and we're getting players fit. It might come a little bit too soon for Zuma, but Vlasic is getting better every week. So I'm looking forward to the game, mate, and really hoping and pretty confident that we get a positive result and a few goals.
Cool. Right, I am just going to go and let me just get rid of this banner, and I'm just going to add to the stream, and I'll go full whack with it. Oh, hang on. Who's just go away? There we go. Right, someone's sending me messages. Right, now, I did this 2 days ago, so it may well be, and the Leeds team as well, and there's been news that they've got a couple of players that have come back, but we'll sort of chat about that when we come to it. But this is largely what I suspect David Moyes will go with. Now, it's rather harsh on Ben Johnson, I feel, but I think that both Kufau and Cresswell played well enough against Norwich, and I'm a bit of a believer, and I think Moyes is generally a believer of the old footballing mantra, never change a winning team. But Fabianski in goal, pretty much picks itself. I then think that the back four from left to right will be Cresswell, Diop, Dawson, and Kufal. Now, Declan Rice will have the armband. That's not really a shock. Now, whether Souček will be available or not remains to be seen. I suspect he won't be, because I'm sort of working on the assumption that he played the game last Sunday and that he tested positive either on the Monday or sometime, or maybe on the Tuesday or possibly on the Wednesday morning. Yeah. Now, that being the case, if I've understood the rules correctly, he's got to self-isolate for 7 days, which means that he can't possibly play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, he tested positive immediately after the game last week. I don't know. But I suspect it will be... Nice. Got the old black stuff.
Yeah.
So I suspect it will be Lanzini alongside Declan Rice.
Yeah.
And ahead of them, again, it will be pretty much the same four that was there for the Norwich game. Vlasic left, Bowen right, who's absolutely on fire at the minute.
Yeah.
Pablo Fornals in the number 10 position, and Michael Antonio as the focal point up top. Ben, your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are that I think it's very likely the team you've put on the, the team you've put on the screen is going to play. That's going to be the team that starts. It's the same team as Wednesday. I agree with you, Rob. I think Moyes is a little bit old school in that respect of you keep the winning team. I totally agree with you. I think Ben Johnson has not really put a foot wrong and can probably find himself unlucky to be on the bench. But that being said, 1,000,000%. Well, let's just look at it, yeah, and then I'll probably come back to the goalkeeper because I'd like to just comment on that. But Johnson is right-footed. He performs admirably at left back, and he hasn't got a bad left foot. But 100% or 1,000,000%, if Cresswell's fit, Cresswell's starting left back. Yeah, so that leaves Johnson fighting it out with Kufal in his natural position at right back, which is a tough call. But at the end of the day, Kufal assisted one of the goals midweek with a good cross. We kept a clean sheet. So I think Kufal remains in the team. Dawson and Diop, providing Zuma isn't match fit, which I'm not sure that he will be.
Yeah, Dawson and Diop. Next week, I think he might be more in contention.
Exactly. Dawson and Diop, it's the only partnership. And to be honest, I'd like to think they're growing every week as a combination. I do think Diop does concern me because I think every game, even against Norwich, there was at least a couple of times he loses his concentration. And if it wasn't Norwich, we could have been in trouble. Do you know what I mean? We weren't. Going back to the goalkeeper, look, I understand Fabianski, he hasn't put a foot wrong all season. You know what I mean? So it is difficult. However, I do think we've brought in a goalkeeper in Areola, who, in my opinion, is top quality. And when he has played, he hasn't put a foot wrong either. With Fabianski being 37, you've got to, at some point, look to the longer term future and say, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, when we're gonna get someone else in? But it seems to be he's Moyes' number one at the minute. I agree with you, Rob. Midfield, central midfield three. It looks like Souček won't be in. And if I'm honest, mate, even if Souček was available,
I was going to ask you that.
I think I would keep that three because I don't get me wrong, I like Souček, but I do think this season he's looked a bit tired, and I think him having a little rest. Lanzini and Fornals, when I watched the highlights back, some of the passes they thread through were just through the eye of the needle. Lanzini in the first minute to Bowen, where he nearly scored, and then Fornals again to Bowen when he hit the bar. I mean, there's just, slide rule passes that, if I'm honest, I like Souček, but I don't think he's got that in his locker. He's a different type of player. And then out wide. Well, look, out wide, Bowen. In terms of an attacking player, he's probably the most informed player in the league. There can't be many people that are up there matching him for output in terms of goals and assists at the minute. Vlasic, do you know what? Right, I'm like all of us. I'm rooting for Vlasic to be a success.
Yeah.
And he is getting better, albeit that when I think he has a half decent game, people are bigging it up a bit too much because of how much they want him to do well. Do you know what I mean? And
do you think it's like Ben Rama last season?
Just a little bit in the respect of, listen, he's in that position and he needs to be either scoring or making an assist. Do you know what I mean? Like a couple of nice little touches, that ain't enough for me. I want more out of him, but I'm seeing all good signs. And Antonio, well, we all know we've got no other real option up top, albeit that, you know, I wasn't impressed with him during the week. I think when you looked at Bowen and Antonio midweek, Bowen was full of energy, full of pressing. You know, let's be honest, Bowen could have had 4 goals.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like realistically, Antonio had a few chances, and I just think
he had that one in the second half, didn't he, where he had his back to goal.
But not only that, there was one that was flagged for offside right near the end, and he was like 6 yards out, and he just fannied about with it. And I just thought he's looking like a player that has got no competition, which is the truth,
right?
You know what I mean? He looks like, and look, I want to see a bit more grit and fire in his belly tomorrow to be doing what we know he can do, because I like him. He's a West, been here a long time. He's our main goal threat, and I just want to see him with the bit between his teeth tomorrow.
Fair assessment. Okay, let's now again. I stressed that this was the team that I put, and I'll just go full screen with it and just get rid of that little ticker at the bottom. Okay, right. Now I stressed that this was 2 days ago, and it's come out latterly that there may be 3 players that may be more in contention than not. But this is the team that I suspected 2 days ago that we might be facing. Meslier in goal. That's fairly obvious. I think Ayling and Dallas will be involved in the back line. Dallas at right back, Ayling having to go at centre back, because Llorente, who played last week at centre back alongside Hjelde, well, he's suspended for this match, so he can't be available. So I suspect that Dallas will drop in at right back and Ayling will shift inside and he'll be the centre back alongside Hjelde. Firpo came off against us, but they said it was because he had a dizzy spell, and because of the concussion protocols, he came off. But they said, no, he's actually fine. So I suspect he'll probably go on to start the game tomorrow. And then the double pivot in front again. This was done 2 days ago. I've gone for Forshaw and Koch. Listen, that's his name, guys. I can't help his name. Stop sniggering at the back. In front, I went with Harrison, Klitsch, and Rafinha, with Dan James as the striker. However, it has since come out that they've had a little bit of a boost because Patrick Bamford, Rodrigo, and Pascal Struijk may be involved in some capacity. Whether they're fit enough to start or whether they're going to be involved from the bench, not too sure. So that might, to be honest, if those 3 are possibly available, I think that he might go with Bamford up top.
Yeah.
Who for? I'm not entirely sure. I suspect if I had to put money on it, I'd probably say it'd be Klitsch. He'd move Harrison to the 10 position and have James on the left. But I don't know. What would be your thoughts on the team that Marcelo Bielsa might go with, Ben? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, mate. I think I tend to agree with that. Obviously, Bamford's their main striker, who I think has been out a fair while. So it would be a big boost for them if he was playing. I'd prefer Dan James up. From a West Ham point of view, I definitely want us to be playing facing Dan James than Patrick Bamford. Because, you know, in the FA Cup game last week, I mean, Leeds done what Leeds do. You know what I mean? They put us under pressure. They played nice football, but there was quite a few, like they'd put a chance across the 6-yard box and Dan James just wouldn't be ready for it and it'd just go wide. I think they lacked a bit of cutting edge. Rafinha will offer that bit of cutting edge. I think he alongside Bowen, he's probably up there with one of the top attacking, you know, midfielders this season. And it's no surprise that both, like the likes of Bowen and Rafinha, they've both been linked with Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? As attacking options for them. But I like Leeds. You know, I've even before Bielsa took over at Leeds, I'd always admired his teams and his style of play.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember watching Chile when he managed them, Atletico Bilbao. I remember them going to Old Trafford and teaching United a lesson.
Yeah.
And when he went to Leeds, they play in the same fashion. But I do just think, and I don't want to speak too soon. I just feel like Moyes kind of knows how to play against them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Every time we've played Leeds, from memory, we've had a decent result, a positive result, and I just feel like, you know, we don't feel the need for our centre halves to be doing lung busting runs and playing this total football. We're a compact unit, and everyone knows their job. So I'm confident if they put that team out you've got on the screen, we can beat them. And even if Bamford and a few of those others are available, we can beat them with those guys as well.
Is there any, and I suspect I know the answer to this given what you've just said, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If I just keep it to that 11 there, are there any members of that starting lineup that I've put there that you would quite happily take into the West Ham squad?
Well, I don't want to seem... Right, Rafinha, definitely.
Yep.
He gets in our squad, probably gets in our starting 11. I like Jack Harrison. I'd have him in the squad.
Yep.
And the goalie.
Melier. Yeah, because he's still quite young, isn't he? I think he's 21. He's 21.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think the others, like I say, they're decent players, but they're not. Look, the proof's in the pudding. They're like 17th and we're 4th. So we've got to have better players than them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah. No, fair point. Fair point. I'll just go on to the next little slide that I've got here, which is our head-to-head historical record. Now, obviously, it improved after last week's result. I think it's fair to say, given that Leeds were in the late 60s and through most of the 70s were a fairly dominating force, and to be fair, in that same time frame, it's fair to say West Ham were less so. That's not 17 difference between the one lost column. That's not too bad, really. I don't think. Or am I reading it wrong?
I must admit, growing up, I seem to recall Leeds, but like doing us quite a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Just, you know, even in the likes of when they had like Harry Kewell and Viduka and players like that, and even slightly before then, they used to beat us quite regularly. But obviously, there's been a turnaround over the last few years. And listen, the history books are exactly that. They're history. So
yeah.
A
little bit more recent history is our last 10. And that don't look too shabby. You look at the last 4, as you said earlier, David Moyes seems to have something of an Indian sign over Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds United. 4 wins out of his last 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think the results today have got to be, you know, I don't know what a professional football manager, how they talk in the dressing room, but you'd like to think with Chelsea losing, with Liverpool not playing and United drawing, our players have got to be saying, lads, we win tomorrow, and let's be honest, we're at home with a team who are near the bottom of the league. Then we go 3 points behind Chelsea in second. I mean, I think even the most optimistic West Ham fan, before a ball was kicked this season, would have said, "Nah, that wouldn't be, that wouldn't be possible halfway through January." But here we are, and because not because like last season was a fluke, but we didn't know. Do you know what I mean? You just didn't know if we'd improve.
Yeah.
But I think we have improved, and we haven't necessarily improved because we bought a load of players in. I just think Moyes knew that the players that he's bought 2-3 years ago, they're getting better.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're getting better as a team. So I'm just going into work every Monday with a beaming smile on my face, and I hope I'm doing it the same on Monday morning next week.
Absolutely. Kent's just come in with a little point there, Ben. I'd like to get your opinion on that. And if there's any of you guys in the live chat that want to get any questions into Ben or myself, please, about tomorrow's game specifically, please get them in the live chat. Kent says we will miss Thomas Souček tomorrow. His aerial ability always causes Leeds problems. What do you agree with that, or do you think that with or without Thomas Souček we've got enough?
I mean, like I say, I think Souček is a menace at set pieces, albeit that I don't think he scored a hit at a set piece this season.
I don't think he has. I think you're right.
Do you know what I mean? So in that respect, he's not getting the output that we did last year, but we'll definitely miss that. But you've then just got to look at the positive, like I've mentioned at the beginning of the stream, that in terms of ball retention and passing, with Lanzini being in there with Fornals, we've got a few strings to our bow that we wouldn't have if Souček was in there. So let's maybe we'll try and play a slightly different game and pass through them rather than trying to focus on the set piece.
With regards to Thomas Souček, do you think that the reason for his what's the word I'm looking for his reduced output in terms of goals from midfield, do you think that is as a direct result of Declan Rice's changing role within the team? Do you think it's tiredness or combination? What are your thoughts on the reasons for that?
I think it's a combination of both, mate. I think Souček was at the Euros. I mean, the nature of the way the guy plays, he don't stop running. He's always sort of number one in terms of running stats for us, and he's up there right at the top of the league. So I think he has looked a little bit tired, and I think because Moyes knows it's difficult to keep. Rice is such a talent that it feels you're holding him back to say you just sit in front of the back four. When we've seen what his running can do, like for example against Palace with the pass, and I think Rice and Souček, it's not like Souček is back all the time. They're taking it in turns. So I think they've both got to add a few more goals to their game this season, because I don't think Rice has scored one, or if he has scored one, he ain't scored many. And we know that Rice has got a good shot on him from previous. So I think even though we're playing really well, we could get some more goals from the middle of the park.
I just want to touch on a video that Gio on Hammer's Chat put out a little bit earlier on today. And to be honest with you, it's been something I've been thinking of for a little while. All these fixtures that are getting called off for COVID, which I think is rather disingenuous, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, have you heard this one about Liverpool got that game against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup put back because they said they had, which later came out as 13 false positives? I mean, it's getting out of hand now, isn't it?
Oh, mate, I've been quite vocal on Twitter because I think, and some of these Arsenal fans are getting all tetchy, saying, "Oh, well, when it's been happening before, no one's been that fussed." But I think it's just this Arsenal game that's the final straw for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's been happening over Christmas with this Omicron variant, this, that, and the other. But the fact is, this Arsenal, like, I think, is showing a lack of integrity and a lack of balls to play the game. But
well, they played the 23s the night before, didn't they?
Yeah, but the fact is, Rob, right? It's the Premier League have got some culpability here because the rules that they've put out there are open for people taking the piss. The fact is, right, that normal injuries shouldn't be taken into consideration. Right, that's irrelevant. Right, that's irrelevant. Whether you've got players at the African Cup of Nations, that's irrelevant. Yeah,
agreed.
It
Well, you knew when you signed them, presumably, that they were African, and that every 2 years they have a tournament during the season.
But the fact is, right? The likes of, I think Arsenal have got one COVID case, maybe two, But the fact is, they've just let Maitland-Niles go out on loan. They've just let that following Balogun. I appreciate he's not a established first team player, but he's he's been in and around the first team. How can you let players go out on loan like last week and then say we ain't got enough players to play the game? And for example, Xhaka getting sent off. It's like, so what? Hold on. If he hadn't have got sent off, they would have played the game. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's, mate, I just think if West Ham, I would like to think if West Ham would have done the same thing, I'd be equally as scathing towards West Ham as a football club. Do you know what I mean? I'm not digging Arsenal out, but actually I think for them to cry off the North London derby shows a bit of lack of class from them as a club.
Yeah, and I agree with exactly what Kent says there. You knew the AFCON was on, injuries, tough shit, piss take. Yeah, that's exactly where I am, Kent. It is completely ridiculous. As I say, if you don't like the fact that every 2 years your player is going to piss off and play in the African Cup of Nations in the middle of a season, then do you know what? Don't sign them.
Yeah,
it's real simple. If you're not going to take the consequences that come with that, then don't sign on the dotted line. It's real simple.
But hold on, and think about this. Yeah, what I think is the rule that they haven't got 13 outfield players fit that have had first team experience to a certain extent. I think that's it. Yeah. Well, how many outfield players do you put out on the pitch? 10.
10.
Right. So if you've got 10 outfield players, you're only allowed 3 subs anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So you're going to have 2 on the bench, and then the rest of the kids. Look at Wolves' bench this week. Yeah. Wolves, I think they had Traore and one other player, and the rest of them were kids from the youth team. Like, that's what you got to do.
It just seems to me that the Premier League have opened up Pandora's box. In my opinion, they've, as you say, they've allowed this rule to be used in a fairly loose fashion. I thought it was just for COVID and all the rest of it, but it seems that now it's COVID, it's AFCON, it's players going out on loan. It's basically any excuse. And as I say, this thing with Liverpool, where Klopp apparently come out and said that the only confirmed case latterly was Trent Alexander-Arnold, and they then had 13 false positives. That I sort of take a sort of step back and go, well, hang on a minute. Either you had a dodgy batch of lateral flow tests or whatever, either someone was administering the test inappropriately, or this is a load of bollocks.
Well, I think it's option 3. It was a load of bullshit.
I'd suggest so.
And to be honest, right, I think I don't buy into this. Oh, they've done it for Liverpool, so they've got to do it for them, right? 2 wrongs don't make a right. Fans are getting pissed off with this now. So draw a line in the sand. Like Gary Neville's right. Yeah, he regardless of what you might think of Neville, he's not always right, but I think he's absolutely spot on here. And hopefully he can be a bit of a voice of the people to say to the Premier League, this rule that you've made up is bullshit, and scrap the whole lot of it and just say, like, I would say, if you've got like I don't know, 5 or 6 positive COVID cases, you might have a legitimate claim to have a game postponed.
Yeah.
But other than that, injuries are part and parcel of football, and they have
Yeah.
been since day one.
Hmm.
And if you don't like the idea of African players going missing for a month, well, don't sign them in the first
Yeah,
place.
exactly that. That's part of the deal.
Yeah,
If you're going to shell out 50, 60, 70 million pounds on a midfielder, a striker, a defender who's from Senegal, who's from Cameroon, Egypt, whatever, that in January, every 2 years, there is a tournament that should their team qualify for, they get selected by their national team. And let's face it, if they're at a Premier League club, they're probably going to get selected.
yeah.
Then they're going. There's
Mm,
nothing you can do. Don't cry about it. Don't use it as an excuse to get games called off because you think that you might have a better chance if you delay it and wait for those players to come back. I just think it's completely wrong. And do you know what? I actually make Ralph Hasenhüttl right for what he said the other week, because Newcastle cancelled a game on Southampton, didn't they? And
yeah,
he's turned around and said, well, I think that the players that they brought in afterwards shouldn't be eligible to play. And there's a part of me that thinks, actually, I make him right. But
yeah.
Kent's just come in with this. Would we get a game called off if the same happened because the gaffer had done what everyone wants, gave youngsters a chance, and we would be penalised for it, which is grossly unfair? Yeah, probably not. Yeah, we probably would. And that's the thing, is that sort of like there's these sort of like big clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, who seem to be playing fast and loose with it, with this sort of COVID
Mm,
nonsense. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the first time that the Premier League actually grow a set and come down on a team and say, no, that fixture you are playing, that fixture is not getting put back, you can guarantee it won't be one of the top 6 teams that are
mm,
made to play it. It will be one of the other 14. It will be
yeah.
us. It will be Burnley. It will be Newcastle. It will be
Mm.
Leicester. It will be Southampton. And
But
it's completely ridiculous.
do you know what though, mate? I disagree with it wholeheartedly. But these guys have got to fit the game in somewhere. So I would like to think it's only going to cause them a problem with a fixture pile up. Do you get what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
the the end of the season ain't going to change. They're going to have to fit it in
Well, you say
somewhere.
that. I wouldn't be shocked, because I'm not being funny. If those 6 clubs turned around to the Premier League and said at a certain point that the fixture congestion with European games, FA Cup, League games, it's too much, you've got to extend the season. Don't be surprised if they sort of like if those 6 clubs put pressure on, because I think you've got to have 14 votes to get a motion ratified by the Premier League, if
Oh,
memory serves me. So those 6 clubs have got to get another 8 clubs on board, haven't they?
mm,
Who
I don't
knows?
know. I just hope that it comes back to bite them on the arse,
Oh,
because I think
agreed.
it it's the integrity of the. I only listened to Gary Neville's interview.
Hmm.
He said there's no other major leagues in Europe that are cancelling games. They're
Is
playing
that
them.
right?
He said none of the other major league have cancelled the game because of COVID. Not
So
like
what do they do when they have a COVID case in the squad? Do they just say, get your 23s in, get your 18s in,
oh,
play the game?
all Neville said. I think it was Carragher. He said Bayern Munich played the other day with a 15-year-old lad on the bench because of
Wow.
COVID. They're just playing the games. They're just playing them. So I feel like the Premier League. You know what it's like, mate. They've all gone soft. They've all
Yep,
gone soft. Do you know what I mean? And they just
I agree.
pander to the big boys.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I don't
hopefully,
understand. I mean, the Premier League itself is a multi-billion pound sort of juggernaut, right?
mm,
I don't understand why they couldn't have employed 20 individuals and allocated them to each club to work alongside their medical team, had
mm,
access to all the medical side of things, was there
yeah,
when the COVID test took place, so that they would know that there was no skullduggery going on. Because as I say, I just look at this Liverpool one where Jurgen Klopp himself has said, no, we had 13 false positives. What?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
one, maybe that's okay. I'm told that if it's a lap flow test, I'm told they're 72% accurate. 2, maybe. 3, now that's really unlucky. 13,
mate, it's a lie, isn't it? He's just
of course it is.
He's barefaced lied. But look, at the end of the day, that was a League Cup game, so maybe the Premier League wouldn't have had jurisdiction on that anyway. But I don't know. But look,
maybe,
it is what it is. They're not playing. At the end of the day, let's go out there tomorrow and just extend our lead on both of those clubs. And,
well, luckily, I mean, we're a team that we can kind of take the moral high ground at the minute, because so far we've not had a game that we've asked to postpone yet. Our COVID cases have been a player here, a player there. It's not been sort of like throughout. So whatever we've done has worked out quite well. And I just look and go, well, if a team like West Ham, with what is constantly derided as crap facilities at Rush Green, if we get a handle on COVID, then why can't Liverpool? Why can't Arsenal? I don't understand. With their superior medical staff and facilities and all the rest of it, why is it that when they get a COVID case, it decimates their entire squad, which is bigger than ours? Let's not kid ourselves. Their squads are twice the size of ours when you sort of factor in the first team squad, the under 23s and the under 18s. They've got an absolutely huge pool of resources, and they can't find 13 players, including a goalkeeper or plus a goalkeeper.
I was very disillusioned with the Arsenal request. I was even more disillusioned with the Premier League granting their postponement. But what I was happy about, and I know it's only minor in the scheme of things, but our under 18s pumped their under 18s 3-0 today. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
that was quite nice.
That was quite nice. Both the youth teams are doing well. The under 18s are fourth. The under 23s are top. Hopefully, a couple of them lads might get a loan move to, Championship or League One, just to, develop them even further. So, listen, it's all rosy at the minute. And I did see a tweet, because obviously Everton got stuffed again today.
Yes.
And there was a tweet from an Everton fan, just get Moyes back. And I was thinking, you're not having him. Like, you
can keep Rafa. That's fine.
I would like to think, let's just say they get rid of Rafa and they say, right, we want Moyes. I would like to think Moyes would say, no, I'm building something here.
Yeah.
Everton was a proud moment in my past, but it's in the past. And
I think, Ken, if you're still in the chat, I think Kent put something on his Facebook. I believe, if I've read it right, Everton have called an emergency board meeting. And if you're still in chat, Kent, can you just confirm that? I'm fairly sure I read that correctly. So it could well be that sooner rather than later, Mr. Benitez might well be handed his P45.
It just never seemed the right fit from day one.
No. Bit like when Billy Bonds went to Millwall, it was like, it's never going to work.
But not only that, I think when you've looked at their team throughout times this season, it looked very, like the midfield all looked very workmanlike, but no creativity. The defence, they'd be playing like a centre half at left back because he'd fell out with Lucas Digne or Digne or whatever you pronounce it. It just looked a bit disjointed, and I reckon he'll be a goner by the end of the night.
Well, I'm not being funny. It was never a marriage made in heaven. I mean, when you're employing a manager that used to work for the opposition, the other sort of side of Stanley Park, won them the European Cup, and somewhere in his tenure referred to you guys as a small club. This is Everton Football Club. This is Everton Football Club, who have been a top flight club since I think the 1940s continuously. They've got sort of multiple league titles, FA Cups, League Cups, European trophies. They've had many international players go through their ranks, and he's calling them a small club. And then a few years later, turning up and saying, "Get a job, I can do that."
I mean, the interesting one that I read, and I don't think this was just a fan saying this. I think this was a journalist that they said, get rid of Rafa and bring Rooney in.
Kent saying they have. So I take it he's saying that they have called an emergency board meeting. He heard it on that very famous TV company. I wonder what one you might be talking about. I couldn't possibly comment. I'm not going to advertise them. That's not my place.
You know, not too concerned about anyone else, postponements, anything. You know, we've got, as I touched on, Cresswell come back. I was so impressed with Cresswell midweek.
Looked like he hadn't been away, had he?
Like first game back, we've had this chat before, Rob, but I think probably 3 seasons ago, a lot of our fan base were writing Cresswell off. He's past his best. We need a new left back, blah, blah, blah. And I think he's got better. He's playing better now than in my opinion, than he ever has. Yeah. And what wasn't helping him, he had Felipe Anderson in front of him.
He did.
He was getting no support. He was getting annihilated. He was running up and down.
Confidence, probably taking a dive as well.
Yeah, now he just looks so composed. And he's got so much energy up and down that left wing. So I just really pleased to have Cresswell back. Zuma coming back. Obviously, we know Ogbonna's long term. So, you know, I personally would like us to try and dip into the transfer market at centre back, regardless of Zuma making good progress.
Yep.
And I just want us to do.
I'm going to give you. You're in the manager's chair, Ben.
Yeah.
You've got 25 million quid. Who are you getting? Centre back.
25 mil? Is that my war chest?
Well, no, you're going to get 25 million quid to spend on a centre back and probably another 25 million or so to spend on a striker. Let's say you've got 50 million to play with and you've divvied it up at half and half. 25 million pound to spend on a let's deal with the centre back to begin with. Or I'll tell you what, I'll give you the full 50 million, divvy it up how you want.
Well, do you know what, mate? I don't really watch much foreign football. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of the names that we've been linked with, I don't know how good they are. Like that, you know, Milinkovic, blah, blah, blah. He might be the best thing since sliced bread, but I've never seen him play, so I can't really comment. The lad I would like us to go for that wouldn't cost 25 mil is Nat Phillips from Liverpool.
Yeah, you and me on the same page there.
I remember one of his first games for Liverpool was against us at Anfield, and I think we had Haller up front. Well, Haller didn't get a touch. Like Phillips won everything, and I think he's solid. I think he's young. He's English. He ticks a lot of the boxes for me.
Yeah,
and I think, you know, when Ogbonna comes back, he's going to be 34. Yeah, and he's had a bad injury.
If he comes back.
Yeah. Dawson's, I think, in his 30s.
Yeah.
Zuma, I don't know, what's he, 27 maybe? But, you know, so he's got a fair bit of time. And Diop, if I'm honest, I don't particularly rate Diop, even though he might develop better. So I'll definitely go for Nat Phillips. And then
how much do you reckon would get him out of Anfield? How much do you reckon you'd have to shell out of that 50 mil?
I reckon top whack 15.
Okay.
I think you'd get him for 15 mil. Any more than that. I mean, if you was paying 20 mil for him, I think you've had your pants pulled down a little bit.
Okay, so if they ask for anything more than 15 million, you'd walk.
I don't know. Yeah.
17 and a half?
Yeah, let's go 17 and a half. So I'd go Nat Phillips centre half.
Yep.
I'd want us to go for Lingard, mate. I wouldn't. I think I'd like us to get a bare minimum of 2 reinforcements. I said centre half and a striker.
Yeah.
Plus, if I'm being greedy, I want Lingard in, because I think you look at all the top clubs, look at Man City today, they don't play with a striker. Do you know what I mean?
They don't. They play with three attacking midfielders, essentially, don't they?
And I think Lingard could do that false 9 role with Bowen interchanging and Vlasic and Fornals coming in. So, we touched on it earlier, Rob. Maybe Man United that wouldn't want to strengthen a direct rival to their Champions League place, but there's no way Lingard can be happy coming on for 2 minutes. I mean,
no, it's quite ridiculous.
He come to us and straight away he was the main man, and Moyes give him that platform and said, "Go and perform," and he did, and he was scoring goals. He was amazing, yeah. And I just don't know why. I feel like he should be banging the manager's door down at Man United.
Did you not get that voice note I put on the group chat this morning? Did you listen to it?
Yeah. But that's about Man United as a club not wanting to strengthen a rival.
But he's under contract. He can't really go anywhere unless they agree to sell him.
I know. But
that's the problem.
Putting that aside, then striker. I don't know, mate. I mean, it seems most of the names we've been linked with, I don't really know them. Do you know what I mean? Jonathan David?
Yeah.
The one that springs to mind is Origi. I like Origi.
Yeah.
I think he's so basically I'm saying
you're raiding Liverpool.
A double deal from Liverpool. But I think Klopp has come out and said about Phillips and Origi that he loves them both. They're great lads and they're too good to sit on the bench. It's like for the sake of their own career, I think he would let them go if they get a decent offer.
Yeah.
So I think, Origi, I'd like him.
How much do you think he'd cost?
I think you get him for 20 million.
I think he's out of contract at the end of this season.
Ah, right. Yeah.
I think. I'll tell you what. Just hold that thought. I'm just going to check because I'm fairly sure.
Bear with us, Rob.
He is out of contract at the end of. It's either at the end of this season or it's at the end of next. So I'm just going to check because that might then decide how much you're going to spend on him potentially. Right. He's out of contract in the summer, Divock Origi. So Liverpool either get money in for him now or he's gone for nothing.
I think the likelihood is it's probably minimum 10, max 15. You wouldn't want to be spending 20 million on a geezer that you could get for nothing at the end of the season, but who knows?
Would it worry you though, given the noises that we're hearing about Salah maybe signing for Liverpool, maybe not signing for Liverpool, and it could contract extension, I'm talking, obviously. And that there's rumours that Klopp is looking, across at Bowen and thinking, well, he might be my go-to. Do you think? Would you have a concern that if we went to Liverpool and went, we'll take Phillips and Origi, that he would try and leverage Bowen into the deal some way, somehow? And if so, would you sort of acquiesce to that?
I mean, he probably would, but the fact is, the ball's in our court to say no. And I think business is business. If they want to flog, if they want Phillips and Origi out, which I'm not saying they do want them out, but I think for the good of their career, they'd let them go. Business is business. If they ask, say, throw Bowen into the mix, we say no chance. We still get the pair of them. Now, listen, everyone's got their price to a certain extent. Do you know what I mean? But we're building something at West Ham. Yeah, Bowen is not the finished article. he's got areas of the game he can improve on, and he is improving at West Ham. And all the time, and it's exactly the same with Rice. All the time we are competing and looking to strengthen the squad and fighting for the, let's be honest, we're fighting for the top four. We're in a Champions League fight this season. Mm-hmm. We can demonstrate to those talented players, i.e. Bowen and Rice, that you can fulfill your ambitions with us. But we've really got to take this opportunity. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I just feel like this January window, this could be the most important window we've had in a long time. Do you know what I mean? Like Moyes plays it down and he's coy and it's difficult to do business in January. We've got this new director in. Is it Rob Newman?
Rob Newman, yeah.
Recruitment bloke. It's time for him to earn his money, right? Moyes needs to be going into the chairman and him and saying, you find me enough 2 or 3 players that will make, they're not guaranteed. Nothing in football's guaranteed, yeah. But you give us the best chance of getting one of those top 4 spots. And then, who knows, if we get in there, that then attracts a high caliber of player altogether as well. So, the one thing, in the striker position, Rob, and we've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
I don't buy this mantra, we need backup for Antonio.
We need someone to put Antonio on the bench, don't we?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that because I want Antonio on the bench. No. But we need someone better. We need someone.
Well, we've done it before, haven't we? We've got in a sort of like a reserve striker when we've brought in Albion Ajeti and Lucas Perez, and they did fuck all. What was the point?
Yeah, you don't. And look, Antonio's not getting any younger. The one name that I heard mentioned, and I thought, I can't make my mind up. It was Anthony Martial. People have said, would you go for Martial?
I'd take him. I'd take him.
I think it could be another Lingard scenario that he's down on his luck, low on confidence at United, but come to something like, he could be a bigger fish in a smaller pond and he could flourish with us potentially.
Oh, I'd take him in a heartbeat, mate. And again, I think I could possibly sort of like say do a double deal with United, Lingard and Martial, so you chance your luck. I've started a couple of comments, Ben. I'd like to know what's your knowledge like with Championship football?
Pretty reasonable, I would say, yeah.
Okay, right. Ken, he said he'd like a centre-back. He's gone with Tarkowski, who obviously will be on a free in the summer. Yeah. Lee Buchanan, left back at Derby County. Do you seen anything of this kid? Do you know anything about him?
I haven't, but I think he's in the under-21s. And look, yes. I like that. That would be that's another position we do need to strengthen. Whether we need to strengthen, I don't think we need to strengthen in January at the left back position.
Okay.
If I'm totally honest, I think Cresswell's back. Ben Johnson, in my opinion, is an adequate backup left back.
Yep.
But I think in the summer, what we need to be doing is looking at Cresswell's long-term replacement. And because, and with the idea that Johnson, in the medium term, just pins the right back position down as his own. And we can't afford him to be left back backup. But obviously, Kent's on board with Jesse Lingard and Adebayo. Is that the lad?
He's Elijah Adebayo. He's a striker for Luton, who gave Bournemouth a little bit of a hard time today, so I understand.
I don't know much about him, Rob, but if I'm honest, as I touched on, if we was going for a Championship striker, and a couple of, but you mentioned not these a Championship striker, this Adam Ida for Norwich.
Yes.
And I think he scored today. He had a decent game against us, but he's still a young lad, granted. But his goal scoring record, it would, it's not good. If I'm honest, he scored like 4 goals in 40 games. Yeah. So
but is he playing as a striker, and how many of those games were starts?
I don't know, but what I'm saying is, for a team fighting it out in the Champions League positions, I want to be going for a more established striker than Adamada and Adebayo. I want someone that scored goals, proven goals in a top league in Europe. And like I say, not as the back. If we was going for an Adamada, I'd want him plus another one. Do you know what I mean? Or if we was going for an Adebayo, he can be on the bench and learn his craft, but we want to be bringing someone in that could just hit the ground running and 20. I know these people might be rare as rocking all shit, but I'm talking 20, 30 goals a season.
Fair. Although what I would probably suggest, I mean, if you got Lingard and Adebayo, you could possibly have a situation where Adebayo has the rest of this season assimilating into the first team, learning first team football, Premier League football. Jesse Lingard is sort of like the false nine, as you say, and then next season, obviously, there's maybe a handover. Because I'll be honest, I've not seen too much of this fella play, but Kent absolutely raves about him. Kent knows his Championship football, and he just turns around and says this is basically a younger version of Michail Antonio.
I'll tell you what, the one, and like I say, the football I've seen this season is mainly West Ham, but this Emmanuel Dennis at Watford.
Yeah, that's another one.
Listen, Watford are going down. Yeah, so I think it's very likely this lad won't be there next season. And I think in terms of stats, he's got like 8 goals or something, 8 goals, 4 assists or something like that.
Team, yeah.
And I think, in a struggling team, he's obviously someone that knows where the goal is. So maybe that's someone we should be looking at. We probably wouldn't get him in January because they'd be signing their own death warrant in that respect. But once they go down, which I think they definitely will, then you might get hold of him. If I'm honest, Tarkowski, it's a fairly close toss-up between him and Nat Phillips for me. The only thing that I think Phillips, the reason Phillips just tips it in his favour is his age. I agree. 4 years younger and has got a lot more career ahead of him than Tarkowski.
I'd agree with that, and I'd actually take it a stage further. I think it's his age, and it's also the fact that James Tarkowski, the last time he played in London for Brentford, his missus apparently hated it in London. So I'm like, well, what's changed? So
I think, in an ideal world, look, I think it's unlikely. How many has Kent put in there? 1, 2, 3. I can't see us buying 4 players in January, if I'm honest. I think we'd be...
He reckons we'd get change from 50 million. I mean, I suppose you look at it, Tarkowski and Lingard are going to be free in the summer, so they'll be fairly reasonable, you'd have thought. Lee Buchanan's coming from a team that is very likely to be dropping into League One if they still exist next season, which is, who knows. And Adebayo, again, Luton Town, it's like, probably, you probably would get changed from 50 million quid for those 4.
Yeah. I just from the noises I'm hearing out of Moyes, I just don't feel like we'll be getting. I get the feeling we'll be lucky if we get 2, and if we got 3 players in, it's like we've hit the jackpot.
Fair. Cyber came in with 1. Here's one for you. If Leeds go down, which I doubt they will, Tyler Roberts as a striker?
He's fucking useless.
I'll take that as a no then, shall I?
Mate, no. Listen, if Leeds go down, Bamford, maybe, albeit that Bamford needs 10 chances to score a goal, if I'm honest.
He's a modern-day Andy Cole, isn't he?
He is. But, the fact is, if Leeds went down, I'd take Rafinha in a heartbeat. I'd take Rafinha in a heartbeat, but I think there'll be, and I've no disrespect to us, I think there'll be bigger and better clubs looking at him than we are. So, look, Norwich, if you was thinking about, like you say, Norwich, Other than that, Adam Ida, maybe. But other than that, there's none of their players that you really... Max Aaron's, but
Already
we've got
got.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
We've got Ben Johnson. We've got Kufau. It's not an area of the team that we need to strengthen.
No.
I don't know.
No.
If Newcastle went down, then that's a different ball game. Like Saint Maximin, I'd have him in a heartbeat. But they've got the Reddies now, haven't they? So
Yeah.
they might be out by their way out of trouble.
Going to test your championship knowledge again while I got you on. Michael or Mikhail, I don't know if that's Michael or Mikhail Helik from Barnsley, and Siriki Dembele from Peterborough. Have you heard of either of these two characters?
I've heard of Helik.
Yep.
I've heard of Helik.
And I'll tell you, if you're in Kent, just sorry to cut across you there, Ben. Ken, I know you're quite knowledgeable on the championship. I'd be quite interested on your take on these two characters as well. Sorry, Ben.
A bit difficult to say, mate. These are not two players that are really on my radar. I think I like... Listen, we've got Bowen from the Championship, and look how well that's going. But, if we could pick up a young English player from the Champ, then great. But there's none... well, he used to be English, but that Ben Brereton Diaz... Well, put it this way,
It's
right?
a bit like Stephen Corker. He used to be English, and I think he wanted to become Scottish, and now he's Sierra Leonean, I believe.
Well, but the thing is, right? When he was called Ben Brereton, he couldn't he couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. He stuck a Diaz on the end of his name. Now he can't stop scoring.
Yeah, but he's scoring goals in the second tier English football, and I'm not being funny. Last season, I remember everybody jumping up and down and saying how wonderful a player Ivan Toney was. Correct me if I'm wrong, he's only got 4 in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
So, Cantwell. But again, is that an area of the pitch we need to strengthen? I'm not entirely convinced. Good player, don't get me wrong, Reece.
He just looks like a little fanny. I don't like his stupid fucking hairdo. So no, I don't want us to sign him on that basis.
just because of his haircut. Because of his haircut. Jazz, nice to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Guys, those of you that are not already on board, West Ham's Iron Channel. You remember Jazz, Jazz from all the previous sort of streams that we've done together. If you haven't already, jump across and give him a sub. And he's doing good things over there. Kent's just come back. He says he knows both of them. Helik was good last season, but he says Dembele is average. I'm not going to argue with you, Kent. As I say, I know you know your championship quite well, so I wouldn't possibly argue. Right, getting back on track. It was nice little sort of divergence into COVID in the Premier League and transfers and all the rest of it. We're going to get back to where we entered the room, which is obviously the Leeds United game. Talk to me, Ben. Where is this game won and lost? Give me your score prediction and any other business. Help yourself.
I think it's it's difficult for me to say where it's won and lost. I think it seems obvious. We've just got to be solid at the back. I think when I look at that midfield, I think generally any game is won and lost in midfield. Do you know what I mean? Like who's going to set the tempo for the game? Who's going to win the physical battle? Mm-hmm. I think with Phillips not being there for them, that's a big loss for them. That's on a par to a certain extent. That if Rice wasn't there, that's a massive loss for us. So I think Rice can dominate that midfield. Lanzini dropping deeper and Fornals being in there. We've got a couple of good passes in there now. Bowen is on fire. And he's shaking Danny Dyer. Great minds think alike.
That's it.
Look, I'm gonna go with us to continue in our good run against Leeds with a 3-1 victory. Like I said, I want to see Antonio bullying. If they've got a young lad at centre half in that Hjolda, and
Yep.
potentially Stuart Ayling, who's right back, Antonio's got to dominate them two, and then Bowen cutting in. That's what I want to see. I'd love to see Antonio notch a couple, plus Bowen keep his scoring run going.
Yeah. Well, Kemp reckons it's going to be 2-1 to us, provided we put a block on Rafinha. And guys in the live chat, as I say, if any of you want to get in with your score predictions and any other observations that you want to make, anything you want to say about tomorrow's match, please join in. We stop Rafinha, we win the game 2-1. Your thoughts on that, Ben? I think we've already established Rafinha's key to their chances. So if we put the block on him, it maximises our opportunities.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult, isn't it, knowing what the game's like now. But it'd be nice if Cresswell can crunch into him early doors and just let him know he's there, and that might put Rafinha into his shell to a certain extent. So I want to see a challenge akin to the one against, was it Liverpool, but maybe not as close to the mark, where he just bang, smashes into him, and then we won't see him for the rest of the game. So hopefully that's the case.
Fair. Jazz is saying he's noticed that Bowen at the moment is our striker now, and not Antonio, who is happy to hang around the halfway line. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's what I was seeing on midweek. I was seeing Antonio.
I thought you might.
Scratching his arse and Bowen doing all the running. So, yeah, Antonio needs to Bowen's putting him to shame. To a certain extent with his
work rate, I guess.
With his work rate, and Antonio needs to look over his shoulder and think, hold on, I need to start doing what he's doing.
Yeah. So you're going 3-1. I'm going to go 2-0. I think we're keeping a clean sheet. Good. I think we're scoring. I see Bowen scoring one, and he will assist the other. I think he's going to carry on his good form. I think he's going to be involved in both goals. I think he'll score one, he'll assist the other, and he will assist Antonio. Yes. He'll give Antonio an assist. He'll try and boost his confidence a little bit.
Mate, if it's 3-1, as I said, if it's 2-0, if it's a 1-0 scrappy win and it comes off Craig Dawson's arse, I'll sign up for that right now.
Yeah. And then of course we go on to Old Trafford the following week. That's a big game now, and especially because they dropped 2 points. They were 2-0 up at Villa. That was a great comeback from Villa, wasn't it?
It was, mate. But do you know what? United. They were gifted 2 goals. Do you know what I mean? The goalie threw one in, and then they're not playing well. If they'd have won that game, that wouldn't have been a true reflection of the game. I'm glad that they didn't win it. Hopefully their confidence has taken a knock, and I want us to go up there. Because the last few years we've gone up there, played well, but not really got the results that we should have got. I want. We're a different animal now, and I want, Rice to go up there, lead the team, and go, you don't frighten us. We'll show you what we're about, and dominate them and put them to bed.
Right and all.
Yeah.
We're above them in the league. All right, they beat us in the league, but that I think was quite fortuitous, if we're being completely honest about it. Last minute goal, and then Noble had his penalty saved. We beat them in the League Cup. I don't see that there was any luck in that, if I'm being honest. I think that was a completely, a completely fair result when you actually watch the game again. And, I know they'll turn around and say, oh, yeah, but it wasn't our first team, but it wasn't ours either. So there you go. And like you say, we've gone up there the last couple of times. I remember the season that where we had the pause because of COVID hitting, and we went up there with like 2 games to go, didn't we? We got a 1-1 draw. We took the lead, didn't we? And I thought we actually played well in that game, but just they got the equaliser. But they're in absolute turmoil at the minute. I'm not being funny. I know you could turn around and say, oh, well, they've only lost 1 game under this guy. I'm not being funny. they've brought in an interim manager to replace the previous interim manager, which was Michael Carrick. And then this geezer's, by the looks of things, he's going to bugger off in the summer. He's going to become some sort of consultant, and then they're going to get someone else in. So hang on a minute. We've gone from one temporary manager to another temporary manager who've got completely different philosophies and ideas on football. And then in a couple of months' time, someone else is going to come in, and it's all going to change again. And he appears to have, put Ronaldo out of the team and whatever, and it's just complete chaos there. And I'm rubbing my hands, mate. I'm like, listen, if ever there's a time to sort of like really go to Old Trafford in a Premier League game and be a little bit confident on getting a result, surely this is the time.
Yeah, I think that they've been a team of individuals for a long time, and generally they ain't been playing well. So I don't want to speak too soon, and it's Old Trafford, still Old Trafford at the end of the day. But look, listen, that's next week. Let's not look past Leeds. It's going to be a tough game tomorrow, and I hope it's an enjoyable game, good game of football. I think it will be, and hopefully we come out victorious.
Cool, good. Right. Before we go, guys, I'm going to finish as I started. Please don't forget the campaign for Isla. This is in the description below, YouTube and Facebook. You can copy and paste it and put it on all your socials. Let's give this family a helping hand. They've gone through an absolute hell this last couple of years with their daughter. Let's try and help them out. Copy and paste this, put it onto your socials, and let's try and sort of help them as best as we can. There is a Just Giving link there. You can put a few coppers into the tin. There's no donation that's too small. But please give as generously as you can. And as always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. And please don't forget to like, comment on, and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support. Ben, any final words before I hit end broadcast?
Other than thanks for having me on, Rob, and hope everyone watching's enjoyed it.
Cool. We'll end it there, my friend. And thanks for stepping off the substitutes bench. And I'm going to do my usual sign out. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.